I haven't been this excited about a new board in a long time. When we first started this project with Solstick, we wanted to do boards which were going to be really surf inspired. Obviously it's snowboarding, this is not surfing, it is snowboarding, but really wanted boards that are going to be surf inspired. And this board here is the ultimate surf inspired board. It has a convex outline almost tip to tail. And essentially the idea of this board is that you're going to ride it like you would ride a surfboard. You are going to be riding it front foot heavy. You have a lot of float right here, right under your front foot, which is where the widest part of the board is. And the board over here at the widest part is right at 34 centimeters wide. At the back foot, you're looking at 27 centimeters wide right at the back foot. And you are way set back from center on this board. From the center of the insert cluster to the back of the board, you're looking at 41 centimeters. And the front to the center cluster of inserts, you're looking at 73 centimeters. So there's a massive difference in the amount of setback that this board has. This board has no camber. It is rocketed from tip to tail. And it doesn't have a lot of kick in the nose. It doesn't need it. Because it's rocketed tip to tail, this basically means that the board just wants to float up to the surface all the time. And nothing, I've never been on a board that floats through powder like this thing does. It turns so fast, it is unreal. In fact, it's almost unnerving how quickly this board comes around the first time you ride it. You get on this thing, and especially if you're not a big surfer, if you're more of a snowboarder or a skateboarder, you get on this board and you've got to be in about 30 centimeters or so of fresh powder, so a little over a foot, which is sort of the minimum that it takes to make this work. Otherwise you're bottoming out on the hot stuff underneath it. And you got to engage the turn, and before you know it, this thing has come around. And it is startling how quick this thing comes around. It has a really long insert cluster. So you can get in front of the widest part of the board, or you can get on top of the widest part of the board, or right behind the widest part of the board. Same thing on the tail. If you want to be turning it more up here, turning it on the center of the board, so turn it as a front foot surfboard, or if you want to be turning it on the back like you're on fins. And these back here work just like fins. Very flexible on this back here. So you've got the edge that you want, but even in soft snow you can compress this tail, it bends up, and you can whip this thing around. I can't tell you enough about how quickly this board comes around and at what low speeds it floats. You're barely moving forward and you're on top and floating, which is part of what makes it so maneuverable. It has a fair amount of flex to it, but it's not overly flexible because it's already rocketed. So as you can see here, it doesn't take much to flex the thing, but we didn't want it to be a noodle. The next question you're going to ask me is, how is this on groomer? You can ride this at a ski area. I have ridden this at a ski area, but you're talking about the kind of riding where when you come out of the powder field, your tree run, or whatever it is, and you get to your groomer, and all you're trying to do is get to the lift. That's literally what you're doing. You're just trying to get to the lift. But it has just a little bit, just from here back, just a little bit of side cut, so that you can get that edge in on your back foot, lean all the way back on your back foot, and you've got edge engaged from about here to there, and it's just enough to limp back to the lift. If it's more than a few hundred meters to the lift, you're going to be unbuckling and walking. This is not going to be something that you're going to enjoy riding back to the lift. And the graphics on this thing is part of our sort of our sumier Japanese graphics. This is a nod to the famous Japanese powder riders from Hokkaido and northern Japan up in Niseko. And that's why we did this. We've also got a very classic looking graphic for the board. This is the one that I like on this board, and I cannot wait to get a whole bunch of snow because I want to take this thing out again. I had so much fun on this board at the end of last season. I'm having wet dreams thinking about it now.